This video was for the 5th Knowledge Organiser for Year 8 Delta classes. What I would like you to do is read the Knowledge Organiser, watch this video and work through the examples on page 1, then try the questions from page 2 of the Knowledge Organiser, then complete any maths watchwork set. So, this is the second Knowledge Organiser on y equals mx plus c. Last lesson, we talked about how m here stands for the gradient and c stands for the y-intercept. M and c are going to be numbers in your equation, and we worked through this example here, or an example similar to this, to be able to identify what m the gradient was and c the y-intercept is. So if we have a look at this one here, if we look at the number in front of our x, that gives us m, which happens to be our gradient, and that tells us that that is 4. If we have a look at the number on the end and we include the negative in this, that tells us that c, our y-intercept, is -7. Now, what that means is, if you had a graph, that means that that graph has a gradient of 4, and this is just a rough sketch of that if you notice no numbers, and it means it crosses the y-axis at -7. What you're going to do in today's lesson is you're going to use this to be able to identify the equation of a straight line from a graph. So what we do is we draw on a triangle onto your graph. You draw the triangle to help you identify the gradient. Now it is up to you where you draw that triangle on. So I could also draw a triangle up here. I could draw one down here. I could draw one in the middle of this one here. Where you draw your triangles is up to you. It doesn't matter. My recommendation is, as long as you start and end at the corner of a coordinate, to make sure that you go a full square across. Anyway, what we do is we want to work out the gradient. So we say our gradient, which we've done in the previous lesson, is our rise, which is how much our graph goes up, divided by our run, which is how much it goes along. So if we have a look at this question here, this graph goes up 4, this one goes along 2, so we go 4 over 2, and that gives us 2. Now if we're going to put that into our y equals mx plus c, that means that if our gradient is 2, we have a y equals 2x graph plus c. Now, we then want to identify where our graph crosses the y-axis. In this case, it crosses here. That is -1. So our equation of this line is y equals 2x minus 1. I just want to point out I drew different triangles on here to work out the gradient. If you notice, this goes across 1, this goes up 2. Again, 2 divided by 1 is 2, so the gradient stays the same at any one of these triangles. So what we do is, I'll talk about this in steps. We find the gradient by doing rise over run. We then identify the y-intercept, where the graph crosses the y-axis. The gradient goes in front of our x, that is our m, and the y-intercept goes on the end, it is our c. Okay? Can you use this to complete the questions from your Knowledge Organiser and any maths watchwork set? Thank you.